How to level up your AWS cloud skills with Morgan Willis.
Yeah.
Yay.
So I'm looking to raise awareness on some of the resources that exist for people that are looking to build new skills in the AWS cloud, and also looking to raise awareness around AWS certifications. So that's what we're going to be doing tonight.
Very cool. Very cool. And Morgan, when I was looking you up on LinkedIn, it said Principal Cloud Technologist.
That's right.
And I have questions.
Most people do. Yeah.
What does a principal, because when you say principal, you're like, oh, so you're the big dog, you're super chief.
Yeah.
But then cloud technologist, I'm like, okay, well, that's really fuzzy. So what is it that Morgan Willis does on the day-to-day at AWS?
Yeah, so Principal Cloud Technologist, I work in AWS training and certification. So my whole job is to learn about AWS and teach AWS. And that can mean like a couple of different things, but my main focus is creating online digital courses for platforms like AWS Skill Builder and Coursera. My focus is mostly on places like Coursera or edX, like more third-party digital platforms. So yeah, my whole job is learning and teaching. And so that also includes doing other things, like this, or sometimes I go to conferences or do other types of things, but mostly training and certification. And so the job title is very fuzzy, but basically like usually you have somebody who's like an instructor, but they don't necessarily write their own material, or you have a curriculum developer who writes but isn't on camera. And cloud technologists in training and cert are people who do all of the above. So we create and architect our own courses, and we make our own labs and get hands-on and build. And then we're also the people who are on camera speaking and teaching. So it's a marriage of like a architect, curriculum developer, instructor type role. You really need to build those base level skills up. And that's something that my team has started doing more of over the last year, is we're building these professional certificates on Coursera, which it's just unfortunate naming that they're also called certificates. It's not the same thing as an AWS certificate, but I'll talk a little bit about that and can point people to some resources where we try to start more at that, level 0, because you do really need the basic IT foundational knowledge before getting into the cloud stuff, in my opinion.
Oh yeah, 100%. Yeah. When folks are asking me like, well, what's the best cert that I get into? I'm like, okay, well, what's your background? Have you lifted the lid on a laptop, or have you reinstalled an operating system, or have you rebuilt your gaming rig at home? There's a lot. There's a lot we're going to unpack tonight, folks.
I have a presentation that we can start going through, and this is, I have slides, and I do have a trainer background, so I'm going to go through the slides, but interrupt me with questions, comments, all that good stuff.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah. See, look, already people are having fun. What's layer 7 again? David.
Oh, hi, David. I talked to David on LinkedIn.
Oh, nice. Okay. So do you want me to throw up your screen?
Yeah. So how to level up your AWS cloud skills. So like I said before, we're going to be really trying to raise awareness of the different programs and resources that AWS training and certification offers. There can be some confusion across these programs, like when do I use what and things like that. So we'll try to demystify some of that. So our agenda, first of all, is why learn AWS at all, right? Like, why is this a skill that you might be interested in learning? So we're going to talk a little bit about that. And then AWS certification, the certifications that exist, and which one should I take? I get that question a lot, so we'll spend some time there. Then the typical 4-step for exam prep, and then where to learn AWS. So where to learn AWS is going to be like a roll call of all of the different AWS training and certification programs that we offer. And hopefully those of you listening at home will find one that interests you. And then we're going to talk about the importance of building. So this is going to be getting hands-on. This is a part that I think is overlooked by hopeful beginners. And it's one of the most important things that you can do when building up your skills. And then finally, just some general tips. Sound good?
That sounds fabulous. Yes.
Okay. So first, why learn AWS? Why is this a skill that you should potentially learn? Well, it's 2024, right? And the tech industry is having a bit of a meltdown. And it's a lot of people are looking to like, where should I really focus my energy for learning new skills. And so why should you focus your energy learning AWS? Well, one of the things is that AWS skills are in high demand. So these days, the cloud is kind of like the default for new projects. Enterprises and companies are continuing to move and migrate things to the cloud. But for new projects, the default is oftentimes the cloud, like a grand majority of the time. So AWS Cloud Skills, it's not going anywhere. The adoption continues to accelerate. So I would highly recommend that you learn AWS. The other thing is you can bring more value to your existing employer. So if you have, maybe you're not on a cloud team, but you work adjacent to a cloud team, or maybe I hear a lot of this where it's like, I'm a developer and I only ever really work with like S3, but I'm curious to get to know the rest of the cloud. So if you learn more skills in other areas, then you might get more interesting projects brought to you because you're expanding your skill set, your expertise. The other thing is just from a personal anecdote, before this, I was a software developer, and I feel like I really only knew like the application dev side of things. And then whenever I switched over to AWS, I had to learn a lot more than software dev. Like it took me into the world of architecting and, operations and DevOps and all these things that I wouldn't have been exposed to otherwise. And even networking. I did not know anything about networking really before coming to AWS and taking these certifications and learning. So I think it helps you get like a broader and deeper understanding of just like the general tech landscape. And then let's see, taking advantage of the cloud rebuilding. This is another one that as a developer. So it used to be that if I wanted to host a website, I had to do a whole bunch of things like get physical hardware and do all of these things that it would take me like a couple of weeks or maybe months to be able to get a website out there. Whereas like now it's like literally like minutes. It's actually insane. So I love working with AWS as a developer because I can move so much faster and I can do a lot more just by myself. Like I don't need a whole team of people to work with me to produce products. I can put things out on my own, which I do a lot of now, just kind of like on the side to make sure that my skills are up to date. And it's amazing to me what I can achieve by myself because a lot of the AWS services are like doing a lot of the heavy lifting and stuff. All right. So AWS certifications. Let's talk about the different certifications that AWS offers. There are a couple of different tiers of certifications, and I'll go ahead and turn my pen on if it will work. Okay, great. So we have down here at the bottom, we have this foundational cloud practitioner, foundational cert. And this is really for people that have no tech background. So I hear a lot of people that it's like, oh, I'm a software architect at my company. Should I go for the cloud practitioner cert? And it's like, you can, but if you have a technical background, you probably really want to start at this tier, which is the associate tier instead. But back to the cloud practitioner, this is really looking for identification of services. So AWS puts out an exam guide for each of these certification exams. And then you can go through, you can see what services are in scope for that exam. And it's really looking for a use case identification. So this is more on a high level, but it has a very broad scope. So you end up learning about a lot of different services, but you aren't going very deep. So you don't necessarily need hands-on with this one, but it's helpful. But we expect for like people with non-technical backgrounds to go into this one. And this one costs $100 to take. For the associate certification tier, this is where I would recommend people start if you do have a technical background. And then I would also start with the one that's most aligned to your current role or the role you're trying to get into, dependent on your goals. So Solutions Architect Associate, Data Engineer Associate, SysOps Administrator Associate, and the Developer Associate. This is taking it a level deeper than just identification. We're looking at service integration. So with AWS, it's not like you just use one service in isolation. These are like building blocks that you use together to form solutions. So you really need to know how to put things together and also how they can break and different specific configurations for different services and what the impacts of those would be. So if for this one, you are really getting more hands-on, it's deeper and the questions are just much deeper in general. Like all of the options they can be similar, but have just like one thing slightly different. So you really have to have more in-depth experience with this one. And this tier costs $150. And then we have the pro level. And the pro level this is, again, a step further. And you really want to make sure you're getting deeply hands-on, you're building lots of different things at this level, and that you're doing a lot of reading with the white papers and blogs. And we'll talk about all of that later with where you can learn AWS. But the pro level is significantly more complex, and you're looking at building more complex solutions with more integration points and deeper considerations. So at this point, you're really comparing and contrasting services on like a fine-grained level of when you would use each one. Because each AWS service has better specific use cases, right? So you have to know what those are inside and out for that level. And these ones cost $300. And then I would say that the specialty certificates operate kind of on the same level. They're much deeper in that specific domain. And we have the machine learning specialty, security specialty, and advanced networking. And these ones also cost $300. So again, I think it depends on where you're at in your career and which one you go for and what your goals are.
I can say that the solutions architect professional and the DevOps engineers professional exams are hands down some of the hardest exams I've taken. I think I failed SA Pro twice before I finally passed it. I can't remember. It was definitely one of those ones where I took it one time, and fortunately, I was very lucky. My company was paying for it, and so I took it one time, and I was like, okay, now I got the vibe for it. Now let me take it again.
Yeah, exactly. Once you figure out, like, okay, I know generally how this is going to go, then you know where your gaps are and you can study more and hit those crucial things. But I agree that the SA Pro and the DevOps Pro, my DevOps Pro is expired right now, but my SA Pro is still valid. And so I need to get back to the DevOps Pro one for sure. But both, I would say the DevOps Pro was the hardest one for me.
Oh, no.
Do you disagree?
No. That's what I'm going for.
Oh no. Yeah, it's doable. I did pass it on my first time, but you have to study. You have to really get in there and like get hands-on and use the services and understand how they work, So yeah, but they are really a great framework for learning. So that's something that I have here. It's like, why get AWS certified? Well, I've heard somebody say before that if you have skills, but you don't have a certification, like you have skills, but if you get your certification, then other people know you have skills too. So one thing is it validates your skills like in a public way. But the other thing is that it provides a framework for building in-demand AWS skills. So like AWS is enormous. There are so many different services. It's crazy. So you really want to have some sort of path for learning so that you can narrow down the scope of what you're trying to learn. And I think certifications can really provide that. So, they're difficult, but they do provide you, the exam guide and the learning path. There's lots of resources that will help you prepare for the exam. And we'll talk about some of those, but I hope you do well. When is your cert scheduled for?
For me, so I've learned to not schedule it. That works best for me. And so what happens is one morning I just wake up, like I schedule it for that day and just go take it. And what happens. So far, I have been able to pass all my certs on the first try. So right now I put pressure on myself to keep that streak going, but I don't know about these pros. I don't know. We'll see.
I passed both of mine on the first try, so it's possible. Okay. It's possible. I will say that you're not going to like my general tips at the end because one of them is to schedule it early.
Yeah.
So we'll talk more about that at the end.
There is a loaded question in the audience that I wanted to pop up real fast.
Sure.
I do not have any work experience and I just graduated with a CS degree. Which cert is better for me, SA or Dev Associate?
Interesting. Okay. So why do you think this is a loaded question before I answer it? Just curious.
Well, I mean, for me, the answer is it depends.
Totally. Yeah. That's always the answer.
I have multiple choose your own adventure paths for anybody that asks this question. So I just want to see what your take was on it.
Absolutely. Yeah. So I mean, the answer is always it depends, but I would say that, so they are similar. They have different focuses, obviously, but they do focus on a lot of the similar services. So if you come from a computer science background and you're looking to get into a developer role, then obviously the developer path might make a lot of sense for you. But I know for me personally, I found a lot of value taking the solutions architect first because it exposes you to such a wide variety of services. And it really gave me, again, that framework for learning. It gave me a really solid foundation. So I took my SA associate first, and then I took my developer. But to be fair, though, I did take them both on the same day because I was joined AWS with no AWS experience and was trying to catch up. So I took them on the same day, but I did prioritize the solutions architect associate for myself first, even though I have the software developer background. But once I got that one, I felt like the developer one was, a quick turnaround. But they do have distinct domains. It's just that they are related in topics. So I agree. It depends on what your goals are and what you're trying to do. But if you have a computer science background and you're going for a developer role, then I think the developer one makes sense. But I just like that one and the solutions architect together personally.
Yeah.
That's
I come
my
from
go-to.
I'm sorry, go ahead, Shala.
Sorry, no, I was saying that's exactly the path that I took. So
I have the opposite background. I came from systems administration. And so I took the SA first, but I actually found the developer easier after taking SA because I feel like the SA associate exam covered there's a Venn diagram in which these exams cover some of the same stuff. And by doing the SA associate one first, I had a real leg up on sysops and developer. And of course, then I got my butt kicked by Solution SA Pro. So but because I had exposure to it, I actually skipped the CP.
Yep.
So
yep. Yeah, and I would recommend just on that, I would piggyback on that to say skipping the CP one. That again is best for non-technical learners. So if you are looking to be in a hands-on technical role with AWS, I would go straight for the associate level. If you are somebody who's maybe you work as a program manager or a project manager, or maybe you're a manager, something like that. Even a business analyst, things like that, then maybe start with the cloud practitioner and then you can work your way up from there. But as for technical people, I would recommend you go straight for the associate.
Good to know.
Yeah, I would say that's been one of the good pieces of advice for me when I first decided to get into cloud. And I was like, do I start a practitioner or do I just jump to, SA? And they were like, you're going to cover a lot of the same material in SA. And so basically it was like a study for the SA, got the same content and was able to just kind of knock that one out.
Yep. Yeah. If you study for the solutions architect, that's going to get you most of the way for the cloud practitioner. But I will say this is also something else, some people collect certifications, and that's not necessary. I know for me in my job, right, I work in AWS training and certification. So I take the certifications every so often to stay up to date and kind of know what's in them and things like that. And because, even as an employee, I have to take the certification exam just like everybody else. So I think that it's not necessary to collect many of them, but I think that there are these common pathways, right? I took solutions architect and then I wanted to keep going. So I think there's a bit of a progressive quality to learning AWS skills. It's once you start learning, at least this was true for me. Once I started learning, I wanted to learn more because so I feel like it just kind of brings you in. But if you have a limited funds, then I would say look out for voucher programs, which I'm going to highlight 2 of them later in the presentation. And also pick one and just start with one and pick the one that's going to be most aligned with your goals and stick to that one. Go from there. All right. So the benefits of certification. So the first one here is that you can get a digital badge. And this is a badge that looks like this, one of these. And you can post it on your LinkedIn and things like that. And you can celebrate online. And that's a public way to show that you validated your skills through a certification exam. The other one is that you get a 50% discount voucher towards a recertification or another exam. So that's kind of what I'm saying. It's there's this progressive quality, right? It's once I learn one, then I'm going to want to do another one. And then I'm going to want to do another one. Because it is, I'm somebody who loves to learn. So, I do find it fun sitting and studying for these exams. But there is an exam discount that's 50% off towards your recertification because these do expire after 3 years or towards another exam. And then the last one is that you can get event recognition. So at big conferences like reInvent, which is in Vegas every year, there's things like the AWS Certification Lounge where you can get access to that, and you can go to exclusive events that are specifically for people who are AWS certified. And that, provides you the opportunity to network with other people who are certified and learn from their experience and share your experience with others. All right, so
and AWS certifications are, I believe they're, correct me if I'm wrong, but if you want to take the SA Pro, if you've been doing, so in a lot of the other tiered certification technologies, you have to take the baseline one first, and then once you've passed it, you then take the subsequent one, the higher level one. With AWS, you don't have to do that anymore, correct? You can just take the SA Pro if you feel like you're ready to set it.
Right, exactly. Or if, like, let's say you're a security analyst or something, you can just go straight to the security specialty. You don't have to get associate and then go to, the specialty. You can just go directly to the one that you're interested in.
Yeah, I saw a viewer mentioning something about the fact that they expired and that they had to retake the associates again. And I was like, I don't think that's true. So good, thanks for confirming.
Yeah, I don't believe so. So if I am incorrect on that, please let me know afterwards, but I don't believe I am. Okay. So next we have, what certification should I start with? I believe we covered this, so I'm going to go ahead and move on to preparing for a certification exam.
Actually, that's a really good segue. Dear listeners, if you are listening in and you want to get in on the running to win $50 in AWS Cloud Compute credits, and this is the first time that we're doing this, so this might go horribly wrong, but we're going to try it anyway. The first people that answer this question, when it pops up on the screen, they get put in the running in a contentious and nail-biting quiz show. So here we go. What is the foundational AWS certification that you should get if you have very limited IT and cloud knowledge? What do we got?
Ooh, pick me.
Who's gonna? No.
Yeah, let us.
You put your hand down.
We need the music, like the Jeopardy music.
Yeah, I was just doing it in my head.
Right?
Yeah, I also see some people saying in the comments, currently resisting the urge to collect them all. Hey, listen, if that's what you want to do.
Robitej answered first
fun.
with Cloud Practitioner. Claim Your Freedom answered second. And Edgar A. Torres answered third. All right. Excellent. Okay, so we're gonna start. I'm gonna write these names down because we've got a couple more questions that we're gonna answer. We're gonna go along the way, and if we have best two out of three, is that how we're gonna do this? Then that person is gonna walk away with some compute credits. Oh,
Hey,
now they're all
job.
rolling in. Wow.
Yeah, it's all coming in now. All right.
Miss Morgan, please continue.
Okay, so how do you prepare for a certification exam? Step one is to get to know the exam and the exam style questions. And the way you can do this is you can review the exam guide. There's an official exam guide that breaks down like how many questions are in each domain and what services are in scope and what specific topics are in the exam. So you should really download the exam guide, and as you're studying, go through. And I'm like a pen and paper person to this day, so I print them out and I go through and I like physically check off each one when I feel like I have learned enough about that topic. And that's a really good, thorough way to make sure that you're hitting all of the topics that are listed on the exam guide. There's also an official practice question set that usually has like around 10 questions that's just on the website. And that will show you the types of questions. So like I was saying before, Cloud Practitioner is a higher level type of question than Solutions Architect Associate or just the Associate tier in general. You can see the differences if you go download the official practice question set, which is just a free resource. It's a PDF you can download. And then finally, there is the official exam prep pre-test, which these only exist for select exams right now through AWS Skill Builder if you have a subscription. So we'll talk more about that in a couple of slides here on what Skill Builder is and what a subscription is and things like that. All right, so step two, once you know what exam you want, you've covered the exam guide, is to learn about the exam topics. So where can you learn about exam topics? The number one place to go learn about exam topics is AWS Skill Builder. We will talk more about that in depth, and we actually will cover all of these in depth soon. So we'll just take a pause on that for now. But the next step is to go learn. This could be, it takes people different amounts of time to learn, right? So if you already have some background, it might not take you as long as somebody else who has no background, and then you have to build up all of the foundation as well. So yeah, this is where you learn. Next, you prepare for your exam. So this is going to be really assessing your readiness for the exam. There are exam prep courses and resources out there. So the exam prep courses I'm specifically talking about here are the exam prep courses on Skill Builder. And those courses take you through the exam guide, and it basically goes through and has you evaluate yourself for each domain and the different topics to say like, okay, are you ready to sit for this exam? So it's more of an evaluation course. So I would say that like third-party exam prep content is a lot of like, remember this specific configuration because it's going to get you points on the exam, right? And like it's things like that. We don't teach to the exam in that style, right? Because we want you to go through and really deeply learn it instead of memorizing specific things like that. So at this point, the exam prep courses aren't going to be that sort of, slideware where we're going through and like really deeply drilling on each service. Instead, this is more of a, let's evaluate your readiness to sit for this exam together. And it helps you uncover gaps to see where you need to go back and study more. So you would go back to step 2 and keep learning. And actually, that's step 4. So that's my bad. I reversed those 2. But there are exam prep courses and resources on Skill Builder, and then you would assess your readiness for your exam. And this, no. Sorry. Okay, I was correct about step 3. Step 4 is there are official practice tests. It's 9 p.m. here. I'm usually in bed by this time. So you have to cut me some slack. I go to bed so early. It's also... in New England, we're having it like it's so hot, and I do not have air conditioning in this room. So
You don't have AC?
No, I live in this old house, and we have AC on the first floor and not on the second floor.
Bless your heart.
I know. So we're actually having somebody come out on Friday to give us a quote for getting AC up here, but I'm like sweating right now, and that's my excuse for getting this wrong. Actually, I'm going to stick to that one.
Yes,
totally acceptable.
Good.
Yeah. But we have official practice exams on Skill Builder, and those are like full length practice exams where you sit and the questions are different from the real exam, but it really gives you that exam style and that feel so that you can really understand like, are you ready? So the official practice exams on Skill Builder are amazing resources. You would have to have a subscription for those, but it is really a awesome resource whenever you are preparing for the exam.
We have a very interesting question out there from Akshay. It's how does AWS plan, design, and add new services?
Yeah, so I personally have never been on a service team, but what I can tell you is that AWS is constantly collecting user feedback. And from what I've heard, it seems like a lot of services and features come from user feedback. So it's like customers say, hey, we want this thing. And then AWS tries to make that happen, So a lot of the services come from that. And I think that's really obvious for certain AWS services that are like hyper specific in their use case and their industry. Like there are some services that are around like healthcare data lakes is like, like there's like really specific services. So I think that it's evident, that we are working very closely with customers to come up with these, the ideas and stuff. But I can't say, with complete certainty how the ins and outs work. I personally have never been on a service team, but that's my understanding.
True. And Morgan, I'll expand on that just a little bit more too. Just curious, how does AWS decide what service gets put into a certification exam?
Yeah, so I think it's all about the role and what's relevant to the role. Again, because I'm an AWS employee in training and certification, I don't write the official, exams, right? Because that's a conflict of interest, especially since I'm teaching. But it's, one of those things where everything that's in the exam is going to be relevant to the role. So everything's really role-based. So, what's on the developer exam, you're going to have things like the code services, like code build, code deploy, things like that, where you might not see those on like sysops, for example.
Right.
Yeah.
Great. Perfect. Thank you.
Mm-hmm. All right. So next up, we have where to learn AWS. And the first place I want to talk about is Skill Builder. So Skill Builder has a free and a paid tier, and the free tier has over 600 free courses. So in the 4-step process, one of them is to go learn the exam topics. This is a great place to go because Skill Builder has a bunch of different types of courses as well. So some are like primer courses where it focuses on one service, and it will do like a couple of high-level short videos, and they're really to the point. And it's really like, what is this service? What does it do? Show me a demo. I'm out, So like those are really quick and very to the point. But then there are other courses where it's more solution or role based, and they are much longer, and they maybe guide you through a scenario. And there's more videos, and they cover more services and scope. So it really depends on what you're looking for. But there are so many different types of courses out there for all different types of learners. Also, some are 100% video based, and others are 100% text based, and others are marriage of the two. So there's different modalities within Skill Builder as well, which leads me to this point here, which is there's also these awesome game-based learning programs. And there's things like Cloud Quest, and we'll talk about that next, but that's all through Skill Builder as well. And the game-based learning is through the paid tier, except for the Cloud Quest Cloud Practitioner, which we'll talk about next. All of the exam prep resources that I just talked about, so like the assessment courses and the official practice exams, are through Skill Builder as well. And we also offer these learning badges. So there are learning plans like Solutions Architect or Cloud Essentials. And once you get through a collection of resources and you pass the assessment, you can earn badges that you can then share online. So it's not like a certification exam badge, but it's a sort of badge that you can share online to show that you are learning and growing and expanding your AWS skill set. There's also AWS Builder Labs, and there are over 200 AWS Builder Labs on Skill Builder through the paid subscription. And Builder Labs are where you can complete labs in a hosted AWS environment. So these cover a total wide range of topics. Like some are, 100 level, like put a static website on S3. And others are going to be much more complex, like building a data pipeline or troubleshooting something. So these Builder Labs are oftentimes also like scenario based. So it's a really good way for you to put your skills, hands on keyboard. You're actually learning. It's not just like conceptual, but you get to do it in a hosted environment. So you don't have to do it in your own AWS account. I know that's something that people can get nervous about sometimes, operating in their own AWS account. And so these labs are a good way to get started without being, worried about, did I remember to terminate that EC2 instance last night or not, that sort of thing. And then finally, we have digital classrooms, which are also in the paid tier. And these digital classrooms are essentially like the same types of instruction that we have for instructor-led content, but it's all digitized. And these are really in-depth, long-form instructor-led courses that are more around kind of that role-based training, like architecting on AWS or Cloud Practitioner Essentials, and things like that. So this is going to be much longer form. So if you're looking for like a super in-depth, hands-on type of thing, the digital classrooms might be a good option for you. Any questions from the chat here? We good?
Several snarky comments about the graphics upgrades for Cloud Quest, but no.
Oh, I think that's the fun part. I think honestly, the fact that it's like the 64-bit graphics or whatever, or the 32-bit graphics.
I love the retro look. Yeah, absolutely.
Same. It reminds me of like SimCity, this is a good segue because it's what we're talking about next. Here's what perfect. That person is talking. This is what David's talking about. Is that the graphics it's not quite this pixelated because that's just my screenshot, but you're in a city and it's a 3D role-playing game, and you go around in the city and the different people have different tasks for you to build things for the city. And then so they give you a task and you would then go learn. So there's videos that you learn from, and then you go into a lab environment and you do the lab, and it's a graded lab. So there's something that you have to achieve at the end, and the system will check to make sure you achieve that outcome. And then you earn points, and you can build your city and customize your city. And it's just a very different way to learn AWS. So if you're a game person, this might be a good option for you. There are many different roles as well. And the Cloud Practitioner one is free. So if you're interested in this, but you're not ready to subscribe yet, check out the Cloud Practitioner one. And then if you want to keep going, there are tons of other ones. And I don't work on this team that makes these, but they are doing amazing work. Like the videos and all the labs and stuff are really engaging. And I really, really love this product. Have any of you played?
I played it a little bit. I was helping somebody study, and so I jumped in with her to like run through some of the scenarios, and it is clever. You said the Cloud Practitioner one is free. So are there multiple tracks for the different certifications? So like you can take, is there an SA Pro track in CloudQuest?
So they're not directly aligned to the certification. There are more roles than there are certifications, but some of them are aligned with exam prep. So like, for example, like there's a data analytics one that's aligned pretty well with the data engineering certification, but it's not like they're not one-to-one, right? So it's more of like, you'll learn a lot of the topics and it will help you prepare for the exam, but it's not going to be that like one-to-one type of thing. So I would say to cover the full exam guide, you can get, pretty good through AWS Skill Builder, through navigating the different types of learnings, but it's not like one single learning is going to give you everything that you need for what we have right now. But I would say that a lot of these are very well aligned. Like the Cloud Practitioner one is super well aligned. Data analytics is very well aligned. Solutions Architect is as well. But yeah, there's also other types of games as well, like the AWS Escape Room. And this is where there's like a character named Claudia, and you have to get out of this room and you have to answer all these questions. So you have to answer AWS questions, right? It's just kind of a fun way to do that. And then there's also Card Clash. And this is a really cool game as well, where you have these architectures and you have to place the card in the correct spot given the scenario. And yeah, that's just, again, just a different way to quiz yourself and see where you're at with your understanding. So different people learn in different ways. Skill Builder has a bunch of different offerings for you. So Skill Builder, the subscription, I believe, is $39 a month, or there's the free one, or you can pay for an annual subscription as an individual and gain access to everything that I just mentioned, plus the digital classrooms. So digital classrooms are only available through individual annual. So it's a little bit confusing, but there is a pricing page for Skill Builder that has a big table that shows you everything that is included for each different type of subscription. And there are also team subscriptions as well.
Can I tell you that I'm furious at Card Clash?
Oh, really?
Yes. So I played Card Clash, and the alien that comes and steals your energy. Oh, I was so pissed.
Yeah.
Like I had the simplest architecture that all I had to do was like put down one more ELB and I was good to go. And that alien, never mind.
I hope it motivated you to, make sure you got it right, though.
I've got some feelings I need to work through here. Okay. All right.
We'll talk about that after. We can have a little debrief after the stream.
Stupid alien.
All right. So this is Skill Builder. Thank you for posting the pricing chart. I appreciate that. So this is Skill Builder. Skill Builder, I would say, is like the number one place you can go to prepare for certifications and also just build your AWS skills in general. But I was saying earlier that we also put out courses on Coursera. So Coursera is another place you can go to learn. And these are mostly video-focused courses that have in-depth instructor-led content. So these are people like me. We have our Cloud Technologists. These are the people that are building and delivering this type of content. And these are more like scenario, role-based training. And these courses range from like 2 to 6 weeks in length. And each week is, like a number of hours of content. So this is a much more in-depth experience. And that's just kind of how most of the courses on Coursera are. So we follow that same type of model. And I have some screenshots here. So this is like what it looks like on Coursera. You have on this left-hand side, you have all your videos and your readings and your quizzes. So there are exercises, readings, there are hands-on labs that integrate with AWS labs as well. And then you can get hands-on, you can learn theoretical, you have quizzes. So everything is, right there in one place. And I also just wanted to quickly call out, we have one course on Coursera called Architecting Solutions on AWS that I made with my coworker, Raf Lopez. And we did this really fun thing on that course where we had physical blocks, because we always say that like, oh, AWS services are like building blocks. So, so it's super cute. We loved it. And we spent so much time like physically putting these stickers on these wooden blocks. It took so long to do. It was absurd. Like we were staying at work late for basically a whole week trying to get this course done. But it's one of my favorite courses. So we go through and there are 4 weeks and there are 4 different customer scenarios. And we kind of like role play a customer conversation. And then we build this solution together. We go through for each block, it's like we consider multiple AWS services. So you learn how to compare and contrast them and things like that. So we do a lot of interesting stuff like that on Coursera, where we're experimenting with learning and trying to come up with fun new ways to make this content exciting. So I would say if you're interested in that type of content, check out the courses that we have on Coursera. And there is free access for these where you get access just to the videos, but not to the labs or the quizzes. And that's through something called auditing a course. So if you go to enroll in a course, you click enroll, really small in the left-hand corner on the bottom, it's going to have this link that says audit. And if you click that, you can get to these resources for free, but it won't give you a certificate of completion. So if you want the certificate of completion and you want the labs and the quizzes and those types of things, then you can do the paid access.
Awesome. All right, we're gonna take one more little pause and we're gonna do this again. So everybody, put on your thinking caps real fast, and we are gonna pop up another question in the chat on the screen, and then whoever responds first. So I'm gonna start collecting comments right now, because there's this giveaway thing that Charlotte just pointed out to me that I didn't know existed. So I'm going to see how this thing works. And the next question is, what is the name of the 3D role-playing game to help you build practical AWS cloud skills?
Ooh.
Nope, don't say anything. Roger, do you?
Wait, is that song copyrighted?
It's not. I've hummed it many times on here. All right.
We also have one question that I started to. I clicked buttons again.
All right, so we've got some answers rolling in. The first correct answer was from Edgar Torres, who was number 3 on the first run. Good job, man. Edgar's on fire. Claim Your Freedom is number 2.
They came in reverse order this time. They came in reverse order.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Very good. Right. Great job, everybody.
Exactly. Everybody was on fire. Put that one away. Back to you, Morgan.
Of course. So CloudQuest, check out CloudQuest. It's super cool. All right. So on Coursera, another thing that we offer is these professional certificates. And these professional certificates are like learning pathways that are, like I was saying earlier, they kind of teach you more of the basics. So this is a series of courses that we put together for specific roles. So we have one that's a professional level, which is basically it's like an intermediate level. We expect that you have some sort of technical background before you come to this one, and that's the AWS Cloud Solutions Architect. That one has 4 different courses in it. It has Cloud Technical Essentials, which is a course that gives you kind of like a basic rundown of the AWS core services using a scenario where you build an application together using EC2. And then it goes to, I believe, the Data Lakes course. So it talks more about data lakes and data analytics. And then it goes through the Architecting Solutions on AWS course, which is the one I just talked about with the cute little blocks. And then we have an exam prep course at the end that helps you assess your readiness for taking the Solutions Architect Associate. The AWS Cloud Technology Consultant one, that one is designed more for beginners, somebody with no technical background. And so we start with like an IT basics, and that starts with like, literally like what is an operating system? It gives you some of the basics around, internet protocols, DNS, how you build a website, the very, very basics of the cloud, things like that. So we start there, and then it ramps you up through a wide variety of topics like automation and DevOps and databases and data analytics, and also like soft skills. So like, how would you be successful as a technology consultant in a consulting role, things like that. So this is going to give you more of like a wide sampling, because in a consultant role, you have to know a little bit of, everything, as well as just a solutions architect, but it's more of like a beginner level type of thing. All right. So other places you can go. Twitch. We have ongoing live shows on Twitch. And there are different programs that are running all the time, like Learn Generative AI for developers, or Get Cloud Confident was one that I ran earlier this year. So you can find training content on AWS Training Live. That's AWS Training and Certifications Twitch channel. And we have like Power Hour series. So the Power Hour series is like 1 hour per week where it goes through a different topic related to a specific exam. So if you're studying for an exam, I would highly recommend that you check out the schedule for Twitch. And so you can just go to AWS Training Live and you can view all of the stuff that's there on demand. So even if you miss it, you can go back and watch it later. But if you can tune in live, I think that's the best option because you can ask your questions directly to AWS experts. They're very interactive sessions. And if you have questions, you can get them answered live on the stream. And you can also find other people there, collaborate with them, connect with them online, and form a little bit of a community while you're studying. I find it to be extremely helpful. And then there's also the regular AWS channel as well, which offers a lot of the training content, like I just mentioned, but also a variety of other types of content as well, like Build On, which is like a live building series and things like that. We have 2 ongoing programs on Twitch right now. One is for the Data Engineer Associate, and there's a Get AWS Certified Challenge ongoing right now through July 28th, where if you sign up for the Get Certified Challenge, you can get a 33% discount on the Data Engineer Associate exam. And you can optionally tune into these Twitch shows, which are, again, like I'm saying, a 1 hour to 90 minutes live every week where they go through the technical topics and really break down the different things that are on the exam guide and help you prepare for that certification exam. So there's that one ongoing. And then there's also the Architecting Associate, which is ongoing it just started last Friday through June 14th. And you can get 33% off of that exam as well. But for that one, you have to watch live or on demand to find out how to redeem that one. So if you're looking to go for that one, check them out on demand and tune in live, and you can find out how to get those vouchers. People love vouchers, I get it. It's great. Saving money is a great thing. So definitely check out these programs if you're looking to get certified in one of these 2 certifications. We also have AWS Educate. This is yet another program, another website. This one is completely free. It's all free, and it is designed for a true beginner audience. And this is what the interface looks like there. So it's it looks kind of like slides, but you can interact with the slides. You can click on different pieces, things pop up, and you navigate your way through it. It's just like an e-learning platform. And there are certain badges. There are badges for certain courses that you can post online for completion. And there are also free hosted labs through this environment as well. So we have paid hosted labs through AWS Skill Builder and the Builder Labs, but there are also free hosted labs through AWS Educate. But this one just has a much more targeted catalog. So there's, the Builder Labs span a huge variety of topics at different levels. This one is going to be more for that beginner audience, but this one is going to be less of that instructor-led. There is some of that, but it's less instructor-led and it's more like self-led through the courseware. AWS blogs are a wealth of knowledge. We have a lot of solutions architects and people that are working directly with customers, writing blogs about solutions that they built that worked for their customers and were successful. And then they're sharing that knowledge through the blogs. Highly recommend keeping up the blogs. It's a great way to learn and deepen your understanding of the specific use cases that these services are used for and how they integrate and how things work in the real world. And then we have the AWS documentation and AWS frequently asked questions pages. If you're studying for an exam, you're going to be spending a lot of time in the documentation. But I always tell people to check out the FAQ pages because they do a really good job of kind of boiling the ocean, and distilling it down to things that you really need to know. So I think the frequently asked questions pages are a really good wealth of knowledge there. There's also the prescriptive guidance. And prescriptive guidance, I took a screenshot of it here. There are different strategies, guides, and patterns for common use cases. And I really, really love the prescriptive guidance, different packages that they have. I find that they give you a lot of the why. So it's not so much just about what the service is and what it does, but it's also why you should design something in this specific way and why that matters. And I find for me, that context is extraordinarily helpful. So I love that. The white papers give you a lot of that as well. And then there's also places like the AWS Well-Architected Framework white papers, which again, also gives you a lot of that background and context of why you should architect things in a specific way. And then finally, one more program that AWS training and certification offers is the AWS Cloud Institute, which is more of a kind of like a boot camp model, and it's online and self-paced. And this is a year-long program where you are it's like a fully immersive boot camp style program. So if you're somebody who's looking to pivot careers and you're looking for an alternative way of education, but you don't want to be, self-taught, self-guided, go check out the AWS Cloud Institute and see if that might be something that you're looking for.
The AWS prescriptive guidance, I remember a long time ago, 1,000 years ago, there used to be a section of the website that you could go to that had templates, blueprints, and designs built out by customers and companies and some internal folks that were very valuable. You could use them to, and sometimes they had CloudFormation templates, sometimes they had other things, sometimes it was just wireframes. Did the prescriptive guidance come from those things? How did those get generated?
No, so I think that those are more like written guides for people, not necessarily like the resources as much. It's more like patterns. But I think what you're talking about is quick starts. Yeah. So there's quick starts is a cool one where it shows you there are guidance, but then there's also solutions, implementations, or quick starts here. Let me go to this one. Yeah,
I loved when I was first getting into it, I loved using the quick starts.
Yeah, so here's one that deploys an RDS instance. Here you go. You can see what it's going to deploy for you. So yeah, it's you don't need to reinvent the wheel here. A lot of people are doing the same things over and over and over again. So this is, sharing the love and making that possible there. The other thing is there's one more that was very similar to that. Made me think of that. And now I can't remember. Quick starts. And then, the Builder library, AWS Builder library, I think is what it's called. Yeah. Okay, so this is another one that's really cool. Is more around the patterns and stuff, and more of the why. So this one is it's more giving you context and why you want to build something in a specific way. And it's also thinking about building things at scale and more complex use cases and patterns. So as you advance, you will probably end up in some of these places as you advance in your career and need to learn more about these design patterns and the different types of issues that you run into when you're operating on AWS at scale.
And for those folks watching this in the future, I will have all of the links put into the description so that you don't have to squint and type. You can just click on the links below.
Yeah, I have a lot of links that I can provide for you after this. So I'll make sure I send those.
Hook me up. Totally.
Yes, for sure. I have them in my speaker notes here ready to go. So I'll send those over.
Wonderful. All right, I appreciate it.
So the importance of building. Building is extremely important. You need to get hands-on with AWS. You can't just do everything in theory. You have to actually do things. You have to build things, because whenever you break things, when things don't work and you feel like you're frustrated and, you maybe are a little insecure, I don't know if I can do this, things those are the moments that you learn, because you get through that and you then learn and grow. So you need to make sure you're pushing yourself when you get to the point where you're a little frustrated and things are broken. And then once you get past it, that's where the learning is. So places you can get hands-on practice. I already mentioned we have the AWS Builder Labs through Skill Builder. These are great. And the labs built into the courses are also using Builder Labs. These are great, but they are in a hosted environment that is pretty locked down as far as permissions goes. So there's not a lot of experimenting going on there. It's more like we are giving you a tutorial that you can follow in a hosted environment where you can practice and build your skills that way and get hands-on with the services, really see them in action. So that's a great way to get started and to expand your skill set without your own AWS account. However, if you want to use your own AWS account, if you're at a point where you're comfortable with that, there is a website that offers AWS tutorials. So if you just type in AWS tutorials, it's probably going to be the first one, but I'll provide the link as well. And AWS tutorials it's a library of different use cases that you can run through and build them in your own AWS account. AWS workshops are built by our solutions architects. And there's also a library of those that go over, more common scenarios that customers are running into. So I've done the Kubernetes workshop a couple of times, super valuable one there. There's containers, and the AWS workshops are awesome. There's also AWS jams, and these are events that you can participate in as a team where you are given a basically a problem to solve, and you have to solve it with your team in a hosted environment. So you can sign up for an AWS Jam as an individual or as a team, and you can compete and win points. And that's a really fun way to test your skills. So that one's less tutorial. It's less like a tutorial, and it's more just like open-ended. Like, here's something I need you to do. And then it's up to you to figure out how to do it. So that one's really cool for that reason. And then also do side projects in your own AWS account. So like, go out and build things. Set up a budget on AWS budgets. Make sure you're using things like the cost anomaly detector, and that you have a really good eye on your cost explorer, and you know how to dive into those sorts of things. So that way you don't have any surprise bills with AWS. But I would highly recommend, if you really want to, be building on AWS as a career, that you create an AWS account and you start building some things on your own. And there is the AWS free tier. Each service has a different AWS free tier that's can be pretty generous. So I know for me, most of the side projects that I build, but I mean, I have a couple of things going in my account, and I think I clock like $5 a month, and most of it runs in the free tier. So I would say, if you're comfortable with it, check out doing side projects in your account. And if you don't want to leave things running, you can build a side project and then just make sure you delete everything afterwards.
Point of note, if you are playing with it in an account, do not do it on your company's production account.
Yeah, that's a pro tip for you right there.
Roger.
What? No idea what you're talking about.
I see you, Mr. White. I see you.
A direct call out.
Busted live on the air.
Yep. All right. So the last thing here that I want to cover is just general tips. So these are not official tips. These are just my tips to you. So the first one is to find an online community. So I find that networking with other people online is super helpful. People are really nice for the most part. And I feel like people are really willing to share their experience and resources and, point you in the right direction. So I would highly recommend getting active on like LinkedIn, or the AWS subreddit is a great place, or X, TikTok, Instagram. All those places have tech communities, and they're a little different depending on what platform you're on. So I would recommend, checking out the AWS hashtag on some of these platforms, or going to the AWS subreddit and see if that's a place you would like to be. But you also can find a community in person. So, check out your local AWS user groups. There are user groups all over the world. They are not directly affiliated with AWS. They're run by people in the community. So I would highly recommend that you check out the user groups where you can network in person with people that live around you. And also you can go to AWS events. These are things like AWS summits, where you can meet other people in the industry. You can attend events where your sessions where you're learning. You can get hands-on at those type of events as well. And I find that the AWS summits are a really great, like fully immersive way to learn. Just be focused on it for a week, where you just put everything else aside, or a day rather, and you just put everything else aside and you just go there and you learn. Also, if you are brand new to AWS, like you're a beginner and you're not sure where to start, if you have no technical background at all, I recommend starting with AWS Cloud Practitioner Essentials, that course. That's Skill Builder. It's also on Coursera. That is like for non-technical people. It's like full of metaphors. There's not a lot of demos. It's for people that are struggling to understand technical concepts in general, or if you're looking for a broad selection of things. So this is a great place to start for complete beginners. It's really brings things down to a level that's understandable and gives you that background, that context. So I was lucky enough to be participating in creating that course. It's one of my favorite courses. It's we had a lot of fun making it. We tried to make learning fun and approachable for people. Nice. Then for Cloud Technical Essentials, I would recommend that for if you're a AWS beginner, but you're not a tech beginner. So if you already have a tech role or tech background, I would recommend Cloud Technical Essentials, because that one is more hands-on. There's a bunch of demos, and the labs, you get to do the same thing as the demos are doing. So there's that reinforcing of the learning. And throughout that course, from beginning to end, you're building a scalable web application on EC2 and all of the different services that surround that. So I would highly recommend those two courses for beginners. The next tip is get hands-on. You must get hands-on. I just want to reiterate that again, especially in today's job market and things like that. An AWS certification alone is not necessarily going to land you a job, but what can land you a job is your skills. So you need to make sure that you are actually building skills and your knowledge whenever you are preparing for these exams. So I would say avoid the exam dumps that are online, avoid those types of things where it's like, exam tips where it's just like blatant memorization of specific things. I would say instead, try to go for a more holistic understanding, get hands-on with the services, and that's going to take you a lot further in the long run, because the goal of the certifications is not to get the certification. The goal is for you to be more successful in your day job, right? So you want to make sure that you're actually learning these skills. Now, this is the next one that I was saying earlier you won't be a fan of, and that is to schedule your exam and work backward. Now, this, everybody's different, but my opinion is I find that I work best under pressure. So like I need to have it on the calendar or else I'm just going to keep putting it off. So I like to schedule it and then work backwards from there, and putting some pressure on myself to actually buckle down and learn. That works for me. So that's what I recommend. And then another thing is, if you aren't sure where to start with AWS, pick a certification, start there. It can provide you a framework for learning and help reduce some of the noise. And then finally, ask questions. So nobody knows everything. And I would say that the AWS community is very welcoming and willing to answer questions. So ask questions, as many as you can. Join into the Twitch streams, ask all of your questions. Go on Twitter, go on Reddit, go on LinkedIn, ask your questions, right? Like these, or find people you can ask questions to. I think that it's super important to have people that you can talk to where you can get your questions answered, no matter what the level of that question is. All right, and that's my spiel. That's my presentation. So thank you so much for having me, and thanks everyone for asking your questions and joining. And go learn some AWS skills, get some AWS certs, and I hope it helps you in your career.
Wonderful. Thanks everybody. Y'all have a good night, and we'll see you again next week.
Good night.
Bye.
Bye.